Greetings and salutations, and welcome once again to the Capeless Crusaders, your number one, preferably, podcast for the Central Valley, allegedly. My name, as always, is David Barry, at Dr. Barry on varying social media platforms. To my right, my comrade in arms this weekend in San Jose for the Silicon Valley Comic-Con.
Yes.
That's you.
Oh, that's me. Hi, I'm Amy. You can find me at IJNewRobot on varying social media, and I'm going to pass it all the way over my head because I don't throw things very far to one of our two special guests.
One of our two guests. Whoever wants to go first. I realize I didn't point very well.
Justin Phillips.
It works.
And writer for Kid Sherlock.
And where can we find you on the internet?
At Kid Sherlock on Instagram or at Phillips Comics on Twitter.
Fantastic. And also joining us, our second guest, right to my, I was going to say right, and then I realized it's left.
Yeah, depending on how they're looking at it.
Stage, still the other direction, whatever. We have.
I'm Sean Miller, and I'm the artist for Kid Sherlock and the original. And you can find me on Instagram, Sean Beyonce, SeanBiance. It's like ambiance. And under an anchor on Twitter.
Fantastic. And as always, you can find us on any social media website. You can also find us on our website, thecapelesscrusaders.com, for everything, all of our feeds in one place. You can contact us, talk to Bart about business stuff because we're business-y professionals.
Kinda.
You can also find all of our content from the various cons we've been going to. We've got Colossus Con, Grape City Con, Silicon Valley Comic Con. It's all your central hub for everything TCC. I was about to say TTC, the Crusaders. This week on our episode, as always, we're going to go around the horn. We're going to talk about some comics. We're also going to have, obviously, our guests. We're going to talk about their book coming out, Kid Sherlock, and we're going to have a little bit of a wrap-up about Silicon Valley Comic-Con. It's a mouthful now that I think about it. Silicon Comic-Con. It's easier to say SVCC.
It's SVCC for a reason.
As always, though, when we're in a comic book store, we like to go around the horn. No, it's just you.
That was me.
No horn sounds. God, I'm glad you guys don't know the horn shtick because it just made my life easier.
I have that horn on my phone.
Don't do it.
Do it, Sean. Do it, Sean.
Next time you're on the show, now you know how to not score points with the host.
Not score points with Barry.
Well, with one host.
With one. There's so many of us.
Everyone else loves it. When we go around the horn, we go around the table in a circular fashion, except for the fact that we no longer have a circular table because we now do video, so it would just be weird to do a circular table. So
Unless we had a lazy Susan.
That would be fantastic. Or vomit-inducing. When we go around the horn, we talk about the comics we've been reading this week. I'm going to start us off because I've been reading all kinds of stuff. One thing in particular is The Fix from Image Comics. I'm in the second trade.
Nice.
Heard about that.
It is such a cool book. It follows two crooked cops who are looking for their big break, as in a crazy case, a crazy story that they can sell the rights to a movie and be set for life. It's hysterical because just they do everything wrong. They, the evidence, like the evidence bag of cocaine, they snort it. Like it's that kind of style, but it's hysterical. It's a great book. You should check it out. The artist or writer actually sent a nice little postcard to Empires because Ben likes promoting it so much, and I read it at his suggestion. So you should all definitely check out The Fix.
That's cool.
Now, Amy, what have you been reading this week?
Well, this week, since it is a brand new shiny week, I'm not talking about last week. This week, I actually read Kid Sherlock. Today.
All right.
But that was technically the reading assignment, so
No,
that's not fair.
let's put it out this way. Okay. When it was sent to you,
Yes.
I begged and pleaded
Yes.
because I read all ages stuff.
Right.
Because I have wee babes. And you gave it to me this morning at 9 a.m.
What? Yeah.
I blame you.
Come on, man. You had like a couple weeks?
I had it on the iPad. I'm like, this is really good. Guys, you should read it.
More than a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know,
and
it's been
I
a
also, so I read that. I loved it. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, so stay tuned for that.
It's fresh in your mind, though.
Super fresh.
So it's like, she's like,
Yeah,
got
that's
like
good.
the immediate reaction.
crack that.
I've got the marinated reaction. Like, that's how it's going to go.
That sounds so weird. But the other thing I also read was an advanced copy from the writers of Wicked and the Divine. I got to read their new special. I can't really talk about it, but I loved it.
What?
I'm a Valkyrie. We'll have that talk later off.
Oh, okay.
Because I did the same thing with Rat Queens with this fella, and He's still angry.
These
so
Valkyries
salty.
get some fantastic perks being
do.
the shield maidens of Odin. I think it's
I
fantastic.
thank Capeless. I thank you.
So, Sean, I'm gonna dish it to you.
Okay, what have I been reading?
What have you been reading? It doesn't have to be new. It could be,
good.
There's a classic. If you reread something, if you read something 2 weeks ago, if you haven't had a chance.
Let's see. I think the last single issue I read was The Dark Knight 3, the one with Wonder
Master
Woman.
Race?
The Wonder Woman. Yeah, Master Race. Yeah, the one with Wonder Woman on the cover. So far, I think that's been the best one of the series.
Nice.
The way Superman has been depicting, or his description of the Amazonians right before they battle the Kryptonians is just, it's awesome.
Nice.
Do you buy like the giant like collector's editions ones? Because I know it comes out in like 3 different
that
versions.
seems like such a cash grab to me. Like,
What? DC and Frank Miller looking for money?
It really does. I'm tempted, but I'm not going to do it. But
The natural collector and everyone wants to.
I know. I just don't have space, and I'd probably get in trouble if I brought those home. But yeah, I read that, and then the one before that was Black Widow Volume 1, Wade and Somni's run.
Nice.
It was good.
Very good. Yeah, I dug it.
Nice.
So that's it. That's what I got.
Cool. Justin, what have you been reading?
See, the 2 books that I've been reading that are my favorite are the first one will be Copperhead from Image.
Nice.
That just started up its 3rd arc
Yes, it did.
after a hiatus for a few months.
Yeah.
So that one's a lot of fun. I don't know how to say his name, Jay Faerber, I believe, something like that.
Faber.
But that's a
Farber.
lot of fun, sci-fi western
Yeah.
type story.
So
So
cool.
that's a lot of fun. And then I haven't been following it all along, but Jason Aaron's Star Wars,
Yeah.
his most recent arc, Yoda's Secret War, is awesome. It's so much fun. Anytime you get to see Yoda using the Force, and it's a secret story that no one knew about.
Right.
It's a lot of fun.
Well,
one's
that's
cool.
considered canon now, right?
All of it's
Yeah.
canon.
It
So
is.
Jason Aaron is writing a canon Yoda story.
As he should be.
He should-
Yes.
anything that guy touches is just
Everything
gold.
is gold, whether it's the South or Thor or anything. It's awesome. So yeah, fantastic. So we had mentioned that we had been in a couple of different cons recently, and this past weekend, Amy and I were in San Jose at the San Jose Convention Center for Silicon Valley Comic Con, which is put on by none other than the one of the founders of Apple Computers, the designer of the Apple I and the Apple II, and the owner of a lot of really important patents when it comes to computers, none other than Mr. Steve Wozniak. He puts it on. It's a combination like pop culture, technology, and also just comic.
Science,
Science,
technology,
sci-fi.
pop culture. It
go hand
goes.
in hand.
Everything in there. So it's cool. They've got like a bunch of artists, then they've got a bunch of celebrities, then they have like a NASA booth, and
It
they
was
have like VR and like all this other stuff. And then of course all the booths, all of the booths. We had a fantastic time at Silicon Valley. We got to sit in on a panel by none other than Adam Savage.
He's really nice.
He's super nice. Afterwards, rather than charging for photo ops and autographs, he had a free line where you could go in and you could shake his hand. You get a picture on your personal device. They didn't charge you for it. And he gave you an 8x10 that he had signed. I awkwardly asked him to promote our podcast, and he said very politely that he couldn't. And I'm like, you know what? That makes sense.
Fair enough.
He says he doesn't do it.
He doesn't, and I there's probably
he
like
wished us
contractual
all the
stuff.
best.
And,
That was
and
the
he's-
best part.
And he gave me the same handshake when I left that he gave me when I went in, and it was a great handshake, and he was so nice. And I feel bad that I even asked him, but it was still a lot of fun. We also, speaking of comic books, we got to hang out with Ming Chen from the Comic Book Men. We actually got to hang out with him while he played beer pong at a bar afterwards. He's actually pretty good at beer pong.
Fairly good.
He's also so much smaller in person than he even looks on TV.
He's the same height as me without shoes on.
Yeah, but he's like 1/4 everything when it comes to me. Like if I ate 2 of him, then I don't want to talk about the logistics of it.
We don't. Tom, we're not replacing you.
Tom, we're not replacing you.
We're not replacing you,
You're
Tom.
our guy. I wasn't going to say token Asian guy, but that's what's inferred by it. But you made the joke first, Tom. You better be watching. So it was a great time. We were pressed. We got to run around. I saw the majority of the bridge crew of the USS Enterprise from Next Generation. Pretty much everyone was there, minus Patrick Stewart and LeVar Burton.
He canceled last minute.
Doesn't LeVar Burton show up to those things?
He
He's
actually
always
canceled
there,
last
right?
minute. Yeah, he was one of last minute.
He was last minute cancel, which was okay because Commander Riker. I get to see Data.
Worf.
More than
No, he was also a last minute cancellation. That's a good call. I was really sad that he wasn't there. We also get to see Billy Boyd, which
it was super adorable.
everyone's favorite Hobbit. Because let's be serious,
Everyone loves Second Breakfast. Nobody can deny Second Breakfast.
So real fast, Amy, your favorite part of the entire Silicon Valley Comic-Con in 30 seconds or less.
And am I getting clocked now?
Yes.
Okay.
It started. We're at 28.
Dang it. Okay. So I loved that it was a lot more spread out this time. There was an outdoor festival you could go. There was a science fair, a whole bunch of food trucks. There was a dog cosplay contest aside from the regular cosplay contest.
That's pretty good.
I loved that I knew the variety of the special guest cosplayers that were there. Yeah. So it was really neat to go up and just be like, hey, you guys, and give them a giant hug. We saw Newligan, and he was his adorable surly self, as always. I loved the guys from Geek Chic and their beautifully wood-crafted tables and captain's chair. You can check our Instagram for David Berry desperately needing one of those for our studio. Bart, you know now.
Bart, it's only $5,000.
And it's a prototype. It's only $5,000.
Let's get in on that.
I also like that we found a speakeasy on the con floor, and I can't really speak of it, but we had some interesting things.
It was weird.
David kind of lost it, but it turned out great. And I appreciate that I saw very briefly Tom Felton.
Yeah. We got to see Tom Felton in his adorable British self for a little bit.
He looked like a preppy boy,
We got to see a lot of teenage and early 20s girls crying. Because
sobbing
they met
hysterically
Tom
on the
Felton
floor.
and Grant
dropped
Gustin.
down out of the
line. It was
line.
like the friggin' Beatles were there, except it was Draco Malfoy.
And then there was one girl that fell and she goes, I found a dime.
Yeah. Like she had to commemorate every single thing about it. She's like, there's a dime. And it's like, okay.
And then yours was that Brent Spiner was like walking past me.
Yeah, I was like freaking out over these super old dudes who were like walking around like, Commander Riker and Data, and then these girls are like freaking out over exactly. I'm just like, Brent Spiner stepped on this. That was by far, I think,
the Ming Chen response, though, so I'd seen Ming Chen twice. I saw him on Friday night at a tech event that Curtis also went with us. He was there very briefly, but we appreciate him being there. I saw Ming Chen. He came in briefly, and I was like, oh, there's Ming Chen. But David's response was just...
He's cool. Like, it's a big deal for me. Like, I do a comic book podcast. He does a comic book podcast.
He works in comic books.
He works in a comic book store. He's on a show with Kevin Smith, who is
it's about Kevin Smith, really.
Yeah, it's really.
Sorry, Ming.
I mean, you basically have almost shared DNA with the man, so you're pretty high in my book.
Anyway, I really appreciated that. Also,
way more than 30 seconds.
That was, I know, but you know what? It's blooming into something beautiful.
It is.
It's beautiful, David, and I loved it. This is my second year going. I'm so excited to see what happens for year 3. I'm also really excited to get the entire Crusaders team there, because if we hear any more about all the missed opportunities for Anthony Esteves to meet Ernie Reyes Jr.,
you can't complain.
No, it's out.
That's pretty much it.
We liked it. 2 thumbs up for me.
Just because I feel like Amy has taken all the time when it comes to discussing it. I'm gonna say favorite part was going to AFK, aka the Gamer Lounge, which is a really cool bar and grill in San Jose, where you can rent game systems. They have every game system imaginable, and hanging out with Ming Chen for a little while.
Do they have the Jaguar?
They didn't have a Commodore, but I have that at home.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, those are a little obscure.
That is true. That is very obscure. Okay, almost any comic book, any video game system that you can imagine.
They had a Sega game system.
And thank you to 4Gamers HQ for hanging out with us, inviting us out. We're going to be playing some Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers against you guys in the future, and we're going to cut some wrestling promos back and forth to really get the ball rolling on this. So, SVCC, check it out next year. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be there. We're going to figure out our hotel accommodations early to avoid any fiascos.
Amy had none.
I had some. So that about wraps it up for SVCC. Now on to the meat of the episode. Like I said earlier, and for the past couple minutes, we've been joined by Justin and Sean, who I'm going to say are independent creators working with Action Lab Entertainment to publish a book. Is that that fair? Is that gives everyone?
That is good. Everybody their due credit.
Everyone gets
That
what
is
they're
very
due.
nice.
Kid Sherlock, like they mentioned earlier, is the book, and as you can guess from the title, it's about a young Sherlock Holmes. I think that's obvious, and it's fantastic. So briefly, I want you guys to sell me on it, because I could sell someone on it, but I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Give me a brief synopsis on why we should read Kid Sherlock.
Okay.
No pressure.
It's your baby. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just the artist. You came up with it.
Okay. Well, my experiences in school where everything was about recess.
Yep.
And so you always had your adventures that you had with your group of friends, and oftentimes you clashed with other groups of friends. And that's basically what it's about. Sherlock Holmes, as in most iterations of the character, he's viewed as childish, and he doesn't fit in with people. And people, even though he's brilliant, they don't really like being around him because of how he puts people off. And so I thought it was interesting to then take that character and put him in school as a child that doesn't fit in and doesn't care. And so while he is helping certain kids, he doesn't necessarily fit in with everybody.
Right.
And so it's about the adventures that they have during recess.
It's perfect because we've seen different tellings. We've seen modern Sherlocks. We've seen Sherlocks in the past. We've seen Iron Man as Sherlock, and this is just it's another interpretation that fits perfectly, like you just said. It's like him being a kid and being not accepted into some social groups. That's definitely makes sense. Except he would solve schoolyard crises rather than massive murder mysteries.
Exactly.
So I think it's fantastic. So congratulations first
Thank
off
you.
on getting it published. So is this the first book you guys have worked on together?
Yes, first book we've worked on, and it's the first book that I've had published.
Nice. How many
Congratulations.
books? Yeah. How many
Thank you.
comics have you written personally that have not gotten published? Do you have a big resume?
I have a pretty good sized resume. I've got a handful of scripts that are all complete, and I've worked on with artists and tried to, but none of them have gotten to this far.
This is awesome. So what brought the two of you together to work on this project?
Were you like best Facebook friends and then suddenly decided this was going to work out?
No, we didn't even know that we were both into comic books.
Oh, wow.
And I was doing a signing for an early issue of the original at a shop in Stockton. And I think it was in the paper or something, or how did you find it? Was it on Instagram or something like that?
My wife was started following you on Instagram.
Yeah, so he showed up at the shop and was like, "Hey, you're doing a comic?" And I was like, You like comics? So then he kind of showed me some stuff that he'd been working on, and then he pitched me the idea for Sherlock, and I kind of spun my wheels a little bit on it. But yeah, that's pretty much how it started, and we just kind of started plugging away on it.
Yeah. So the other books that you've written, the other scripts you have, are they kids books as well, like kid centered comics?
No, I do have one other kids books, but superhero comic books are really what I like, and of course, so I started with that. And
Right.
I've got a few others that I've worked on, some other adaptations, like Sherlock is an adaptation, so I've got a couple others that I've done based on other public domain type properties and things like that. So,
Any burgeoning interest at Action Lab to maybe get another one of your books up and running?
as of right now, we're just trying to get them to sign off on another series of Kid Sherlock.
Right.
So
Oh, nice.
we'll see if that happens.
Nice.
They are very supportive, though, of their creators and all their other projects, though. They are very supportive of that. They foster creativity.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so are they, so I know like some publishers, you go to them as a writer, as an artist, and they pair you with someone. They say, hey, we want you to write Spider-Man, and we already have a Spider-Man artist. Or we want you to draw Batman, and we already have a Batman writer. But then like Image, when you go to Image, it's like they want you to have artist, writer, product, and they want you to pitch it to them, and they'll just publish it. So is Action Lab kind of similar, whereas you bring them kind of a completed product, and
Exactly.
they will go from there?
Yeah, they follow the Image model pretty closely.
Which I think is fantastic, because then it's all, I mean, I obviously, like, I love, when a favorite independent writer, like, gets picked up and writes Captain America, like, that's always cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really nice to see you guys taking 100% you and not having to put it into someone else's box. You just get to...
Yeah, you always hear those horror stories of like a writer who's really difficult, or an artist who's really difficult to work with.
Right.
And the nice thing about having two people, a team already established when you come to the publisher, is you kind of already know that these two people work well together
Right.
anyway. And we had to have some finished art and stuff prior to the official pitch. So it shows like, okay, these guys work together and can get stuff done.
Right. As opposed, as opposed to like when a label manufactures a band, you can always tell.
Oh, yeah,
that
sure.
they're not friends
Right,
going into
yeah.
it. Like, they're talented and they can work together.
Yeah.
Kind of, but you can really feel when someone who they started a band when they were 15 with their best friend,
Of course.
and they take it from there.
Yeah.
So as far as your individual styles, what inspirations do you draw on? Like, I know I've seen a lot of Kirby in a lot of your work, isn't that classic kind of feel? But then Kid Sherlock has got a totally different feel to it. So what inspires your art and your writing, and then what inspires your writing, Justin?
Me first?
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, Kirby is, I mean, come on. He's
the king.
He's the king. They call him the king for a reason.
It's true.
So yeah, I look at his stuff a lot. I really like Paulo Rivera, who has kind of taken me under his wing. Nice enough of him.
That
to
is a
do
good
so.
wing to be under.
It is, yeah. I had the privilege of going to his home studio and hanging out with him and seeing all his cool stuff that he's got. He's got much better toys than I do. But yeah, I look at him, Chris Somney. Yeah, when I'm on the spot, I have all these names in my head. Now they're all gone.
They're all gone.
But I do, like, you're right. You can see some of the more classic influence in what I do, because the gold and silver age characters, I just really like that stuff. So I kind of look backwards rather than maybe what's current now.
Right.
I kind of look at all the older artists and try to pull inspiration from them.
Nice.
But with Kid Sherlock, I looked at a lot of Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
I looked at a lot of old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, lots of Cartoon Network. And Scotty Young, even though it doesn't show up in the books, that was actually what he was kind of wanting, the style.
Yeah.
And
I can see part of it.
yeah, kind of the bigger heads on a
Yeah.
smaller body.
Right.
I don't draw like him, but I did reference his style quite a bit.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for me, Calvin and Hobbes is a huge influence on this story. Obviously, as a kid, I read every Calvin and Hobbes I can get my hands on, and I've always loved comic books. But especially as I mentioned, I have other projects that I've worked on, but it's a lot of fun to be able to work on something that like my kids like,
Right.
and that they'll hopefully enjoy when it's all done. And so, definitely when I first started writing Kid Sherlock, it started off as like single page gags. It wasn't a full comic book story. And a lot of inspiration from Scotty Young's like Baby Avengers when he did that for
Yes,
Avengers versus
very
X-Men.
Yeah.
So it actually started like that, like a baby, like kids in school as Sherlock and Watson and the adventures that they had and playing jokes on each other and stuff like that. So that's kind of a lot of the inspiration behind the stories.
Nice. So why is Watson a dog? I love that Watson's a dog. We got Watson the dog on a mug right there.
yeah.
This
Yeah.
was for you, Steve's. Anthony Steve's for your
There you
mug
go.
shtick. And we got the poster as well.
There he is,
so,
down there.
Why is he a dog? I love that he's a dog. Don't get me wrong. I'm just curious why.
That is the only reason, because it's awesome.
Because dogs are great.
Yeah.
And Watson being a dog just makes sense.
Well,
does.
when you're thinking of kids and Sherlock being a kid, what's a kid's best friend?
Right.
Is his dog. And so then it just kind of, I was actually having a conversation with my wife, and we're talking about Calvin and Hobbes, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but she said something, oh, it's too bad you can't do something like that. And then it was just kind of like the lightning bolt, Watson should be a dog. And and when I called him, and we're talking about how we would do it, when he drew the picture, it was just like, it was perfect. And
It is.
it's been that ever
Yeah,
since.
I didn't have a Watson character design at that point, so it was really cool because, I was supposed to, because we needed our single page done, and there was no Watson character, there was no design, and then that's when he said, "Hey, how about a dog?" And it was boom, that was it. It was just one shot, and that's how he looks.
He's adorable. I mean, it's not just that he's adorable, but he.
Well, you know what? I want to see some Watson cosplay. You were saying that there was dog cosplay
There
at
is.
SVCC.
We can
There's-
make that happen.
Yeah, you can do it.
That's you.
I didn't mean to cut you off there. I
No,
just
it's
didn't want to
fine.
forget.
He's like, no, it has to happen.
I demand to see it now. Well, what I was saying is Watson also has this kind of like Peabody and Mr. Sherman, a little bit of that vibe too. And for design, he reminded me of, I almost said the dog from Family Circle. I might be dating myself. But
I know Family Circle.
Yeah.
everyone's like, I read that. It was in the paper.
In the funny pages.
But I really like, I just like how his approach is and how he is and how he interacts, not just with Sherlock, but the rest of the class. There's a whole bunch of things I really like about the book. Am I allowed to talk about it now or should I wait?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we don't get too spoilery. But
Don't give away what mysteries they solve.
I like the names of the particular staff at the school and how they go to different people because I'm a big, huge Sherlock fan. I've read all of the books. I know all the stories. I watched all the movies. I've read every adaptation, including the Mycroft. We have a Mycroft graphic novel up on the shelves. Yeah, that's back in the corner.
No, I like it.
But there's so many different adaptations of Sherlock's story that I found this one to not just be charming, but it was accessible to people and especially to kids who might have a vague idea of Sherlock but not understand how he works. And it's just so accessible. And I really like that. Well, I don't know if this is super spoilery. There's a certain young lady who is a young lady, even though her name is also shared with a teacher in the book, in the story for you guys. So I really appreciate. I don't know
I'm
if
like
I
trying to
can say.
dance
I like,
around
yeah,
it.
I
I'm
love
trying
how
to
she's
dance around it.
tiptoeing around it.
Say anything.
I'm not allowed. Besides going, I really loved it. It's fun. I can hand it to my kids and not worry about any problems with it or them understanding it. And you can see not just the friendship, but the growth in both the characters across the different issues. And I really appreciate it and enjoy it. And thank you for working on it, you guys.
Thank you. That was a very nice
Thank you.
compliment.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very high praise. Appreciate it.
And I know, like, a lot of people always wonder why someone my size and my style reads Squirrel Girl, and there's a reason.
love that book.
It's super entertaining.
Yeah.
It's super well done. But it's also I'm getting to the point where I'm not just thinking about the comics that I want to read, but I'm thinking about the comics that I may eventually want to give to children that I may or may not have near in the future.
Because you do not have children.
Is this
but
an
I do.
official
No,
announcement,
God,
David?
no. I
Caitlin,
worded that
Caitlin, we're
poorly.
sorry.
God, no.
Lady Barry, we are sorry. He's sorry.
Whatever. No.
No. No.
Anyway.
That was a whole big hole. Nice try, buddy.
But I like, because I always, for a while I was reading like super violent, super gory, like dark comics, and I still love those. I still enjoy them, but I also like that, I can read like a book that's geared towards a younger audience or kids, and I can be like, I could see this and I could hand this to my child and be like, hey, this is what's going to get you into comics, because I don't want to share, Swamp Thing with...
Not now.
I mean, eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to eventually share Swamp Thing because it's amazing, but I'm not going to be like, here, read this comic about this weird swamp creature, like having women eat tubers off of him. Like, it's bizarre, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to show them, the Dark Knight.
Thanks,
anything
Alan
like
Moore.
that. Yeah, thanks. Nothing by Alan Moore until you're 16 at least.
No, and a couple of things even after 16. No.
Yeah, God.
No.
You're never going to read
No.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Or Lost
ever.
Girls.
Yeah.
Never.
But I love that I have this that would be incredibly, like, I can read it and I can still have fun. It's got that feel where I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm reading just a kid's book, but it is a great kid's book. I feel like I'm entertained. I feel like a kid would be entertained. And I feel like people should definitely check it out when it comes out, which is a way ham-fisted segue into my next question, which is when and where can we get this book? Where is it going to be available? I know there's a code for stores to order it. Is that
There's a secret
There's
code.
codes.
The secret code.
Well, it's just the order code, but it's
We'll
Kid
also
Sherlock,
get you
so
to
it's
speak
very
in
easy to. It's very easy to search. I've gone into the comic shops and say, "Hey, can I order Kid Sherlock?" And then they just type it in, it pops up. So it's an easy name to search for. It's not multiple. Sometimes if you ask for Spider-Man, 20 different things pop up, and you don't know if you're going to get the right one.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So you could just ask for Kid Sherlock. It's available for pre-order, and it's also available for pre-order digitally from Comixology. So you can set that up to get when it becomes available.
'Cause I know Curtis really likes digital books, and Curtis likes sharing books with his kids. So this is just a 1-2 punch. Get on Comixology.
Yeah, they have a nifty little button that says subscribe to the series, so you can get all 4 issues as they come out, just delivered straight into your Comixology account.
That's perfect.
It's worth it.
And each book, like, because you were saying, you start them as like 1-page kind of gags. Each book comes with a little one-off at the end,
right at the end,
which is super fun and super cool. Because I always like the conclusion of a story when I get to see something just kind of quirky at the end. So deviating a little bit from Kid Sherlock, I know we have copies of the original up here because we don't have physical copies of Kid Sherlock yet. But we do have copies of the original here at Empires, always available for sale. From your company, Anchor Comics, which is how I first met you, sitting there at Grape City Con, with your fantastic Paulo Rivera banner.
Yes.
So, any future plans for the original?
Yeah. So this one here is the latest one that came out, which is actually working backwards.
Back of that. So zoom in on that.
Oh yeah,
zoom in on that.
We would if we could, but we can't.
This is from Chris Wisnia. He's I believe he's from Sacramento. He's a Sac native, or maybe Davis, somewhere around there. But he has a really big Jack Kirby style, and I was like, I have to have a pinup from you, please. So I'm kind of working backwards. This is telling the origin story of the character, because this is the first comic that I ever wrote. The very first thing I ever did, like when I said, I want to be a comic artist. So what I'm trying to say is the first 2 issues kind of stuck. So
I have them. They're good. I can see how, you've progressed.
Yeah. So I'm working backwards to kind of fill in some gaps. And I pitched it to Action Lab.
Nice.
There's been no formal yes or no yet, but I thought, just on good faith. Give them first whack at it. But I'm just kind of slowly working on it. It's a slow burn, but it's a fun book to work on.
It's great because I know a lot of people they love seeing those books that have the classic art style and the classic kind of storytelling, and it definitely has a gold and silver age feel to it.
Yeah,
very very Jack Kirby era.
Yeah, those are the people that I love talking to at conventions, because when they pick it up, they get it.
They have an appreciation.
Yeah, they get it. And it's like, that's the person I'm selling to right there. It's kind of a smaller demographic, but,
It's an important demographic.
It is.
It's a very important demographic.
A demographic that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So now, back on course. Just hopping back over. So, future projects. Is there future collaboration between the two of you? Are you guys working on other stuff together as a team?
Kid Sherlock. It's... when we first started it was like when the opportunity came up to do Kid Sherlock as a series, we hadn't had any plans at that point to pursue that, and so the issues kind of just started they just came together. It was such a perfect fit. The characters really worked with the concepts, and then when he started doing the art, it really came together in a way that I didn't expect, and I was very fortunate to be a part of that. A lot of things hitting at the right times, and it's been a lot of fun. And so I have the next series already laid out, some outlines written, and we're hoping one way or the other, we plan on doing the next 4 issues, and at least putting that out.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it'll be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah. I've got 1 issue left of this to wrap up. I think I did send you the pitch packet, right?
Yes.
To kind of look at it.
So gorgeous.
It's getting colored because it's a black and white book, so it's going to be full color. And I finally and Paulo Rivera did the cover for me, so it's really gorgeous. I need to get it out there. I can't sit on that anymore. But I'm also working on an anthology of short stories that I'm going to color and letter and do everything myself. Just out of sheer pride, just to do it. But it's called True Love, and it's all about what that emotion will get people to do for better or for worse. So it's going to run the gamut of people making good decisions and bad decisions, all based out of the feeling of love.
Ooh.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah, well, I was thinking.
Can I pre-order it now?
I was thinking, if I was to don't want to get too dark here, but if I was to die, like in the next couple months, what would my art say about me to people if they were to find it later? And
Oh, wow.
I thought, not much. I mean, other than he likes superheroes and he's drawing cartoons, I haven't really like put a message about who I am and what I believe and what I think out there. And that's what true love is. That's what I'm hoping it's going to do. It's basically my thoughts and my interpretation of the emotion and what it could get me to do in other lives.
Nice.
Wow.
But yeah, that's really the goal is to kind of say something about myself. Kind of connect with people that way.
Nice. Looking forward to that.
That sounds awesome.
Hopefully, I live to get it out there.
Now that you jinxed it.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
Like
who
2
knows what's
months
going to
later.
happen? We're going to have to put it out posthumous. It's going to be weird.
2 months later.
So, wrapping up here, getting towards the end. I can't remember what I was going to ask. Amy, do you have a question? I just totally blanked on what mine was going to be.
I always want to ask, like, what your guys' favorite sandwiches are, but that's just one of those random in the face. I can feel the face. I don't even have to see it.
That's fine. That's a good question.
Yeah,
Fair
well,
enough.
it's like usually when we wrap up interviews, especially if we're doing anything at one of the conventions, we ask something kind of silly at the end because it peeks into the heart of your deepest, darkest desires. And
Or sandwiches.
Or sandwiches.
Well, that's appropriate because I've been making sandwiches all day. I have three small children.
Okay, so then you
So
know
I
the
made
sandwich struggle.
peanut butter and jellies, and before I left, we made grilled cheese, and then I had a steak and arugula from. Am I allowed to say Panera? Is that a plug?
Whoa.
Will we get
they
some?
better pay us
I know.
$15.
They need to pay us in sandwiches.
Yeah,
I would like a steak and arugula
Pay us
sandwich.
in Vermont mac and cheese. The
Vermont
white cheddar
mac and
mac and
cheese?
cheese.
I
It's
want
fantastic.
something from France. There's cheese section over there. Can we get that Panera?
No.
Panera?
Just
Yeah?
the mac and cheese.
Oh. I want more than mac and cheese. I'm desperate. Anyway, sorry.
Justin, what about you? Favorite sandwich?
Favorite sandwich.
These are important things that you gotta know on
Inquiring-
the interview
Gotta
circuit.
stick with the classics. Grilled cheese.
So
Sometimes grilled cheese and ham.
You know what's going to happen is people at cons are going to come up to my booth with like some grilled cheese sandwiches now. That's
Dude.
what's going to happen.
If it's a 1-for-1 trade, I mean, if it's and Bart's like it's me. It's all me, man.
well, and that's good though because sometimes it's hard to get up and go get food.
Oh, that's
like,
out. Yeah, you know
one-
what? There's one guy. His name is Brian, and at every show that he's at, he always brings me beef jerky.
Nice.
And
Oh.
cookies. And
Does he know me?
It is the best.
That sounds like Amy.
No, it's the best because he'll also bring me trades of what he thinks I would like.
Nice.
So
Oh,
I've got a
cool.
lot of Steve Rude. What was it? Nexus? He did that book Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
He got me like the whole. I don't know what you call it, but it's the whole volume, the whole
Compendium.
Yeah, he gave.
Omnibus.
Omnibus.
He just showed up to that and he's like, "Hey, I got that for you, and here's some beef jerky."
Aw.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
He's stealing my shtick.
I was about to say,
Because
yeah.
I go to every single con I go to. I bring like usually it's candy, but this last one I had cookies, and I was like, hey, I was dressed up as I was cosplaying as Velma on Saturday, and there's pictures, and Lord help me, but I was like, hey, do you want to reach into the bag of mystery and get a snack? And people were like,
I don't know that I would do that. Yeah.
Everyone was kind of like,
and then
and then she'd reveal and they'd be like, oh, you actually have Oreos. Oh, okay.
They're like Oreos and Nut Butters? Yes, but I do that with everybody, and especially the artists, because I know you guys are trapped. So I
No,
always bring
it's
snacks.
good con etiquette. The guys in Artist Alley really appreciate
Can't
it.
go anywhere. They're just
Yeah.
sketching away.
Can I put that into the budget, Bart, for con snacks?
Just snacks for
Yes!
the guests.
It works well.
So Sean,
Yes, sir.
I one of my favorite things about Paulo Rivera, our mutual friend, because I met him at Wizard World.
Of course, yeah.
Friend of the show, Paulo Rivera. But one of my favorite things is when he does his Wacky References Wednesdays.
Yeah,
Where he puts up a panel and then he shows the pose he put himself in to take
Yeah.
a picture of.
Yeah.
Are you learning to do that?
He is the one that told me, I emailed him out of the blue, and that was years ago, and he was like, you have to use photo reference.
Yeah.
And then I was following him, and I see, him always in those goofy poses, and he even did some for my cover. I asked him, I was like, did you have any Wacky Reference Wednesdays for my cover that you did? And then he sent them. But yeah, you know what? I mean, you really have to if you want to get your proportions correct and the folds in clothes and stuff like that. You got to take that stuff seriously.
I love it.
I had my wife the very first time I did it. I was doing like some sort of action pose, and it was ridiculous. I felt really silly.
What do you got? I mean, that's what you got. The bends and the
Yeah,
shadow.
of course.
Like it totally.
Yeah.
Any weird tricks and tips of the tools of the trade that you've learned, Justin? Any writers giving you any strange tips on how to better your comic writing?
The best advice I ever got was to work with somebody a little bit further advanced than you. Which is why I went and found this guy. I was like, hey, well, he's already got a book out. I'm gonna go talk to him, and then now here we are.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
That way you're not, you
Well, you always you listen to the greats,
right?
You're always trying to take in as much information as you can. But if you can work with somebody who's just a few steps ahead of you, they can help. He helped incredibly in a lot of ways to get you there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's cool to show your friends and family, but if you want some actual like helpful critiques, you can't rely on them because they're always going to tell you it's great.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, God bless them, but
Everyone loves the podcast.
Yeah,
They love it so much.
but it's the same thing that I've found is like, Ramon Villalobos.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fantastic. So, and he's a Stockton native, and he's critiqued my stuff, and just being around people who are always a little ahead of you kind of gives you something to strive for.
If you want to learn how to draw shoes,
Those
Talk
kicks.
to Ramon.
So
He knows how to draw some shoes, man.
Shoes.
His kicks are so sweet.
Oh God, that's. I think we're.
Yeah.
Oh man, you should have let
Apologize.
that play out.
I believe that was.
Was that Black Sabbath?
No, I
What
think
was
I'm supposed to clean the litter box. I think that's what the line was. Anyway,
On that note,
no, I had an important question. I know
the
it was
Sweet
the Sweet Kicks. I think it was it this? Was he at C2E2?
Yes, he was.
He did a sketch of Bernie Sanders
Yes.
in like a pair of Adidas.
Yeah,
and I'm
that
like,
was so good.
I need that as a print in my
Yeah.
life. Like it was great.
Yeah, it had like maybe some flames or something.
Yeah,
coming off.
yeah. Like he was jumping and landing like he was
Yeah.
a '90s skateboard kid. So now you guys are working on Kid Sherlock. You're doing the interview circuit, the podcast circuit to get it out there. Any plans to do any like promotion for any cons coming up? You guys gonna roll out to any cons together?
or Free Comic Book Day.
Or Free Comic Book Day? Completely forgot about Free Comic Book Day, which you're gonna be
I will be
here.
or
Empire's
over there.
Comics,
I don't,
yeah,
maybe back
probably.
here
You,
somewhere.
you
I
could
don't
be
this side.
right here. Everything on here, almost everything in here is on wheels.
I would say everything moves now,
know. Oh, cool.
so it's really cool.
Not of its own volition just yet.
Yeah,
books.
I'll be here for Free Comic Book Day. I will have. Unfortunately, Kid Sherlock won't be out then. It'll be out the month after,
Right.
but I'll still have copies of the original.
Nice, cool. Well,
Justin, what about
yeah.
you?
yeah. Any plans?
I plan on tagging along with him.
Yay!
And then hopefully, we don't have any set plans yet, but Action Lab, they've got a bunch of appearances and be promoting Kid Sherlock because Sherlock's coming out June, July, August, September. So it's like right there
Hit
when
that
all those, a lot of
sweet
those
spot.
shows will be happening. So
Yeah, that's right in the thick of the
yeah,
season.
so we'll be promoting a lot through there with
Fantastic.
them.
Cool.
Yeah, if I can tag along with Action Lab to other shows, I stick kind of mainly into the Valley, like Stockton Con and stuff. I'll be there.
Oh yeah.
Tracy and Stockton and Sec Anime.
Yeah, they're all over the place. So I don't know if I can kind of scoot in with Action Lab. I might be popping up all over. You never know.
Are you excited to see Ric Flair at Stockton Con?
I really am.
Are you?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: are you gonna have a booth?
I will. I never get to leave and see the people.
I'll monitor your booth.
Okay,
But
yeah,
I feel like we're
That's
all.
on record. You know that,
Oh,
right?
100%. I will gladly get to talk to people at a
Well,
booth.
you've done it before. When I was here, I had to go
I
get
did.
some pizza.
I
or
sold something, and someone's like, "Are you the artist?" And I'm like, "No."
You should have totally played it up.
I'm like, I do both of these. I am Ramon and Sean. But I feel like because like in years past when like Hacksaw Jim Duggan was there,
Yes.
and he did his ho, and like everyone was doing
Oh,
it
I can't-
every
it's-
30 seconds.
yeah, all
The
day it's gonna
woos-
woo,
The
yeah, all
woos
day.
are gonna be constant
Yeah.
all throughout the Stockton arena, and I feel like after a while we're gonna be like, okay,
all right. Yeah.
2 days of this.
You guys were doing that like every single time we bring up Stockton Con when all of the boys are here.
We're gonna burn out on it.
It hurts so much. My ears were bleeding.
Yeah, warning to headphone users of the podcast every time we woo.
Stockton
so much
Con is
wooing.
that they have a really good crowd.
Yeah.
I do.
It's a really supportive crowd, and they get good guests, and it's been fun. The last two shows in particular have grown a ton. And,
It's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's great. If you can come,
Mick Foley was there. Like they.
I think Jake the Snake was there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I know this year so far they've only announced a couple, but we've got Ric Flair.
He's got to come out with the gaudy cape. He
needs to spin around the circle. I can never remember his name. I know Zach from the Power Rangers, the original Black Ranger. He's going to be there.
Oh, cool.
He's nice.
And then like an animatronics puppeteer guy who was like the puppeteer behind like Admiral Akbar is going to be there.
Right.
Oh, no way.
Those are like just like those random things you're like, I didn't know that was a person, but that person made something that is incredibly important to my life.
Right.
Are you sure it's not a trap?
It's not a trap.
That's a trap. That's a trap.
Unless Stockton Con could be pulling one on us. But
Maybe.
So first off, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
For sharing the original and sharing Kid Sherlock, all of the issues. I got to read all of them. But I'm still going to order
He
them.
finally feels a little bit of my Valkyrie power.
I'm still going to order them and have them
in print.
here. Yeah, because I want physical copies. And I want them signed.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be here.
And then I'm gonna ship them off to CGC and get them slated.
Yeah, they'll be on eBay
And
shortly
100%. That's why I'm gonna get 2 copies.
One to read and one to
seal. So, as always, my name is David Barry at DR Barry on varying social media platforms. Check out all of our con coverage from SVCC. Some of it's going up on YouTube, some of it's already on Instagram, or you can always go to, like I said, thecapelesscrusaders.com. It's this gorgeous, beautiful, sleek, dare I say sexy website.
It is the little black dress.
For all things Crusader related, and all of our feeds amassed right there, so you should check it out. To my right, joining me, like I said earlier, my comrade in arms, we have...
They're not that pretty like a Steve Arms, but it's Amy. You can find me at iJaneUrobot on varying social media. And yeah, I could say our website is like the little black dress of the internet. It is so sleek and so fine. And all you need is one good one.
Oh.
Justin? I'm passing that
Phillips.
to you.
Instagram at Kid Sherlock, and then Twitter at Phillips Comics. You can find our stuff there.
And I'm Sean Miller. And the best way to find all my social media platforms is just to go to SeanGregoryMiller.squarespace.com.
Nice.
And it's got links to everything.
I'd also like to point out that your Instagram picture, your user picture, is fantastic.
That was a night that Mom left the kids at home with me.
With Dad.
And we did Marshmallow Teeth that night.
They are. You haven't seen it.
Awesome.
I've seen it. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us. Check out Kid Sherlock at your local
Definitely.
store on Comixology. And for the Capeless Crusaders, good night.